smash writing. Here we are. We've reached the end of the line for the Transporter series. And we go out with a new guy stepping in to play Frank. I was really nervous going into this movie. Really, really nervous. It's a reboot from, I think it was, this was straight to DVD. I could be wrong. I was not excited going into it. Let's see if my fears are recognized here. Let's dive in, shall we? We opened to French Riviera in 1995. We opened to a gang of people taking out all these other guys and effectively taking over the prostitution ring, which is shaking this woman Anna especially hard. One of the other women get into the car with the big boss, and they drive off, and we jump 15 years into the future. And we meet up Frank. Not quite. We see Frank's car in a parking garage. Some people try to carjack him. Then Frank arrives, fights them all down, gets into the car, and comments about how he's running late now. And he's going to pick up his dad, as it turns out, Frank Sr. They get into it about him being late and the fact that his dad is living off of a pension fund. That's what we're doing at the start of this movie. Most specifically, though, during this little back and forth, Frank ignores a phone call. I'm sure that will come back later. We jump to these two women show up at this hotel room, and they shoot down two of these guys who were involved with the crime ring. And they pull a dead woman out of their bag. And they stage the room, and then catch it on fire. And then they sprint out of there. We catch up with the Franks, who are the dad is keeping up this charade that he was an Evian water salesman, not a spy, not at all. Don't you think that? You have to call him Junior. Junior gets a call from Anna, setting up a meeting for the next day. We acquainted to the big bads, and that woman who got into the car with them all those years ago is still working with them. But it seemed much more of a power role than what she was before. And I get the call about the fire and everything going on there. Specifically, he gets a call from the inspector to meet up with them at the morgue. Because despite the fact that they arranged it to look like an accident arson kind of deal, they were shot in the head. Anna hires them for a package that'll happen within like 3 or 4 hours. It'll be her and 2 packages. Frank agrees to everything. At 5 o'clock sharp, I hate those glasses. For some reason, every time he puts on those fucking sunglasses, it pisses me off. Meanwhile, the dad is being abducted. That's going to be a great sign for him. But in the meantime, he's showed up where he's supposed to be meeting her. She gets into the car. Then a minute later, Frank's counting this down. 2 other people get into the car. It pisses him off, and she's like, "What? Those are my packages. They take their weights, 104 kilos, just as I told you." And he's like, "This is not the arrangement. This is not what's agreed upon. Get out of my car." They were involved in his dad's abduction, though. So, reluctantly, he speeds away from the cops who are now outside his car asking for details of what's going on. And enter a long car chase. He gets away from it. And we see the big bads in the bank now investigating because they just have people all over. And they'd robbed one of his known associates. And they're all wearing his necklace that he puts on his girls. So he's trying to figure out why his girls are robbing all these associates of his. Back with Junior, they took her back to this warehouse area where they're keeping his dad. There's another woman there. And they pay him for the first job and then offer him another deal. They want him to chauffeur them around and help them. And in return, he'll get the antidote to the poison his dad ingested when he drank the beer. So he reluctantly agrees to this, and off they go. The big bad has pulled all of his girls aside, and he finds 4 of which are missing. And not only are they missing and everything, he knows the transporter. They have history together. Frank Junior and Anna go to the hospital, where he questions her about the necklace. He knows that it is a mark of Karasov, a former acquaintance, and they do not like each other, as we've already found out. The whole point of them going to the hospital was so they can steal this anesthetic gas agent kind of deal. And they get the gas, only a little hiccup. I think two people got hit in the face, but that's about it. They go to a club while Frank is setting up this tank. He gets kind of pushed into this one room. Whenever he doesn't get pushed into the one room, he tries to drag a dead, unconscious body into the room, gets locked in with these other guys. So while he's fighting them, the girls put some gas masks on and they infiltrate the club. They get someone's fingerprints and access his computer and drain his bank account. And they all rendezvous at the car. Frank's a little late because of the big fight. And even they're about to drive away when Frank comes up with the idea, and he puts the car into neutral and it's coasting forward. And he is beating guys out as they jump in front of his car, kind of deal, clearing the path for the car. Meanwhile, the fourth girl, she has incapacitated a pilot to Yuri's plane, keeping the plane grounded. And we jump to them. I think her name is Gina, and the dad, Frank Sr., have infiltrated this plane as the pilot and stewardess. She knocks out Yuri, gets his fingerprints to drain his account. And before they could get out, though, the unconscious co-pilot hits the accelerator on the plane, I guess you want to call it. So they can't just jump off the plane, and Frank has to come and save them by driving under the plane, opening the sunroof and having them fall into it. But Gina catches a bullet to the stomach. They make it back to the warehouse, and Junior wants the antidote now. He did everything they asked for, antidote now. The dad doesn't seem to care. He's only worried about patching up Gina. And that's when it comes out that dad's never been poisoned. He's fine. So together they get the bullet out of Gina and patch her up the best they can in the warehouse. Meanwhile, Kozlov is getting squeezed now from all of these associates who are not happy that his girls are stealing from him. And they're not fully believing that these are just girls who have gone rogue. Isn't that sweet? When we go back to the Franks, they're all getting laid in different rooms. And that's when we get Anna's backstory, though, after this. She was sold by her mom to Kozlov when she was like 12 or 13, I think they said. And she's dead set on finishing whatever plan she's worked up. I guess it's not enough for the Franks to stay, though. But Frank Sr. is pissed off at Junior for not going back to help them. And, like, really annoyed. And why did you leave, Frank Sr.? You could have just stayed and helped them. But Frank Jr. drops Sr. off at the hotel, probably gets 3 blocks down when his dad calls him, but it's Kozlov. He's kidnapped his dad. And he wants him to bring the girls to his yacht. By the time Frank gets to the hotel, it's already too late, so back to the warehouse. Gina's gone already. They sent her away because no one knew about her, and that was the deal. So the 3 girls who are there agree to go with Frank to go save his dad. And they get to the yacht, and they turn over the ledger. And that's when all of the associates they have robbed showed up. And Anna goes on the off defense here and says, I was just doing what he told us to do. And this has pissed off everyone. And he's like, look, I'll show you my bank account right now. I have 120 million. Unbeknownst to him, that while he's punching in the code, Gina is down in the lower part of the yacht, hacking into his own bank account. So whenever he logs in, she's logged in and transfers all the money they took into his account, which makes it look like he stole it, which causes the gunfight to break out. And 2 of the girls are shot almost immediately. Anna is grabbed by Kozlov. The one woman who's been working with Kozlov all this time, she sees on the computer that there's an intruder in the lower area, and she shoots Gina, and Gina's dying breath kills her. Anna, though, is being dragged onto one of the boats by Kozlov, and Frank has to chase him down. Junior. They get to do a big fight on land. He's about to kill Junior when Anna shoots him. And then turns the gun on Junior. Because he is the last remaining person who can connect her to any of this. We know how this goes. She lowers the gun and she goes off on her own. This dad is being interviewed by the cops after this. He is swearing he was there to sell Evian. He's seen everything, but he doesn't know anyone's names. And he re-meets up with his son, and they go off to drink good wine. And meanwhile, the movie ends with Anna wiring all of the girls who died funds that they were owed, so families are taken care of. And she's about to do the same with the Franks, and the movie cuts to black. Let's talk about the pros. Because there actually was. I love the fact that, once again, during these big group fights, the tight corridors came back, and the giving him things to help him in these fights came back that we were missing in 3. So already, you do got a pretty good leg up here. I like that. The action was still pretty good. It was still alright. I loved him fighting while the car is drifting behind him. I like the... Ed Skrein is not as smooth as Jason Statham. But he didn't do a bad job either. It was still pretty fun to watch. The impromptu surgery on Gina was a fun sequence too. They're just seeing what they're using around them to make an impromptu gauze and everything like that. The acting was okay. Ray Stevens was much better here than he was in The Punisher 2. Warzone. God, that movie was bad. All the girls were interesting. I will say I'm quite mixed on the results of this. Because you're in this for a fun action movie. And you have these 4 women who have put together this plan to escape forced prostitution. Don't kill 3 of the 4 of them. You can kill, I'm not saying all 4 of them have to make it out alive, but the majority of them should make it out of the sequence alive. And not just one of them. I really didn't care at all about learning about Frank's past. I cared even less about having a Frank Jr. and a Frank Sr. That felt so dumb. Just bad idea. And I will say this. Just throwing it out there. I would not be at all opposed to a Transporter 5 where Anna has to call her good buddy Frank for help once again. And this time have it be Jason Statham. But Ed Skrein did a good job. He had impossible shoes to fill, trying to fill Jason Statham's shoes, who just has this innate charisma about him. For what it's worth, he did his best. And it was still a pretty decent movie to watch. It was not the disaster I thought it was going to be. I could easily watch this movie again with the rest of the Transporter movies. I'm going to give it a B. All around B. It was an okay time. I had a good time. And with that said, that brings us to the end of the franchise of the Transporter series. And it's been, overall, a great time throughout. No complaints from me. And with that said, have a good day, night, evening, afternoon, all of that in between. And bye-bye.